Hi there, I'm Ashley Bullington, and you're watching the Warmup presented by your local North Texas Geico agents. It's time to get warmed up for Week 8 of Texas high school football. Several undefeated teams going into last week suffered their first loss of the year. Now, we'll see how they can bounce back. Mansfield, Summit, Arlington, and Euless Trinity all were flying high with those big goose eggs in the loss column. Well, that changed with losses last week. Let's see how they get off the canvas after taking that first punch. The Colts have the hardest test as they face Arlington Martin on Friday night. Arlington's running and passing game was slow to get out the gate against Bowie last week. By the time they started to warm up, it was too late as the Volunteers pulled off the 1-point victory. It's going to be even tougher to get going against Martin's stellar defense. In the Warriors' first 3 district games, they've only given up 15 total points. If quarterback Zach Mundell can continue his steady play behind center, the Warriors could pull this one out. Trinity was upset by Haltom for the second year in a row. The Trojans ran the ball well, but couldn't punch it in the end zone enough times. However, Valentino Foni has been able to make some big plays, and they'll need that to continue against a high-powered Weatherford team. The combination of quarterback Kenny Seals, a Vanderbilt recruit, and running back Desmond Forrest have made every Kangaroo game a shootout. Look for the Trojans to pull off a close one at home. And how about the Jesuit Rangers? 2 games without running back E.J. Smith, the Rangers were 0-2, but since he's back, they're 4-0. This week, Jesuit heads into Eagle Stadium to face Allen, a place where Allen has never lost. It'll be a tough test for the Jesuit ground game, and defensively, they will have to try and force Eagle quarterback Raylan Sharp into turnovers. As hot as the Rangers are, look for Allen to pull off a 2-score win. Possibly the biggest game of the week is taking place in the Colony as the Cougars host 5A's #1 team, Frisco Lone Star. We all remember how last year's game ended as the Colony ran the hook and ladder play late in the 4th to beat Lone Star 21-14. This is a far different Ranger team, however, as they are led by sophomore quarterback Garrett Rangel, who is oozing with confidence. And the Lone Star defense is no joke as well, as they have only allowed just over 10 points a game on the season. The Cougars have many weapons though, including quarterback Mikey Harrington and playmakers Keith Miller and Miles Price. This one should be a dandy, but we are predicting a Lone Star victory. This week's Inside Story looks at one of the nation's top offensive linemen, Fort Worth All Saints tackle Tommy Brockermeyer. The junior is out for the season with a shoulder injury, but is still very active in mentoring the Saints linemen, including his twin brother James. Let's take a quick look at some guys who should be in the hunt for an MVP bobblehead this week. We talked about how crucial he was earlier, but look for Martin's Zach Mundell to be a big player in the MVP voting. Mundell is the perfect dual threat for the Warrior offense and has accounted for 14 touchdowns for Martin. He will have to play big for them to beat Arlington. Jesuits' E.J. Smith is coming off a 4-touchdown game against Prosper and is looking for a big game on the big stage at Allen. Smith has shown to be a sure-handed receiver as well, so his offensive prowess is that much more effective. Finally, we can't forget about Lakeview Centennial's Kamar Wheaton. Anytime he touches the field, he is a threat to win a bobblehead. His breakaway speed and elusive moves should help the Patriots get a much-needed win over Garland. Let's see if there were any interesting movements in the rankings this week. Duncanville took their time to get going, but handled Lake Highlands 28-6. They stay at 1 as the battle for first with Richardson Pierce this week. South Lake Carroll is still undefeated and #2 as they won't be tested the rest of the regular season. Allen is back at it this week and will take on Red Hot Jesuit, but for now they are #3. Undefeated DeSoto should easily take down Grand Prairie this week. They are at 4. And rounding out the top 5 is Denton Geyer, who bounced back from their Carroll loss with a shutout win over Timber Creek. 5A is led by Frisco Lone Star as they demolished a tough Independent squad 63-14. Big game awaits with the Colony Friday night. Denton Ryan was actually in a game against Colleyville Heritage last week until they pulled away. The Raiders are at number 2 and have Carrollton Creekview this week. Highland Park beat Legacy easily as they remain at 3. Coming in at 4 is Aledo as they wait for Jace McClellan to get back to 100%. And Lancaster rounds out the top 5. They cruised past Sunset and will face Bryan Adams before their 2 toughest games, Timberview and Highland Park. We are not done yet. It's time for the extra point. Marcus Football has started a new video series, and Garrett Nussemeyer, son of Cowboys coach Doug Nussemeyer, told us a story about what his mom told him when he was getting shots. I think it's pretty amazing.
My mom would tell me that if I cried, she would tell my dad's football players. So I never cried.
Frisco remains undefeated, and the players decided to go with the flow. Frisco is back. That's all we have for this week's episode. To stay in the loop on all things inside high school sports, follow our social media accounts. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. That'll get you ready for the best 30 minutes of sports TV. Wingstop Inside High School Sports on NBC5 at 6:30 p.m., hosted by Pat Doney. Thank you for watching The Warmup, presented by your local North Texas Geico agents. To find the office nearest you, go to geico.com/DFW. I'm Ashley Bullington, and I hope you're warmed up and ready for all the Weekgate action.